Well, this is the end, my beautiful friends. The coronavirus has spread around the world, locking down our nation and tumbling our economy. So tune in and we'll just discuss possibly the beginning of the collapse here on Collapse Talk. Good day, beautiful people, beautiful, healthy people, or to whoever is listening. I hope you're having a wonderful day and hopefully you're looking on the bright side of things. Yeah, this is Collapse Talk. I'm your host, Gabriel, and I'm going to guide you now through this time that we're living in because so much has changed in the last 48 hours that it's shocking. It's traumatic. I don't even know where to start. Like I was trying to scratch my nose, but I can't do that anymore. Well, at least I have some sanitizer, so now I can scratch it. But yeah, coronavirus, it's here. It's not like the flu because the flu doesn't shut down the country like this. Effectively, we're at war and we have an invisible enemy and we're under siege. Not under some great castle or great city, but it just individually we have our own little sieges here. So you have to have the essentials. You have to have your water, your food, and just something to keep your sanity up because now we're in the Endgame. And that's hard to digest for a lot of people. It's hard for me to digest right now, actually. It's I can't believe it. Like I feel like I'm in a dream almost because I didn't think it was going to happen now. I thought maybe somewhere along the lines, or I don't know. I didn't expect a pandemic. I just, it's hard for me because this is something that I've been speaking about actively for so long, and I so desperately wanted to be wrong. Like, I'm a doomer. Yeah, I'm in some fashion a prepper, but that's really only because my life experiences have taught me to prepare for the worst and just assume the worst. That doesn't make me well, in some fashion it does make me pessimist, but it's just, like I said, life experiences and really just understanding that this life that we have, or that we had, because it's not going to be the same, is so easily, I'm at a loss of words. I don't know where to start. It's so easily veiled and so easily fragile and brittle, and we like to think that this is what's going to save us, when in reality it was the problem the whole time. And for that very reason, we're in the mess that we're in now. You know, I look back to I like history, and I look back to the struggles that the people had lived before us. But now it's in a different context. It's not just, oh, those people. I now I look at it as, oh, my ancestors, our ancestors, because that's who they were. Those people that survived directly led to our creation, to our world, and it just seems like that world has popped now. At least here in the United States. And I'm just really somber about it right now. That's the only way you could really process this, because I still have my family here, and I have to look out for their safety now. And I'm not in any position to provide safety and security. I'm not. That's just the thing. But I still have to be the shield, I guess. I have to protect them and provide in some way. The best way I can do that is through my work, this, and other things. But first, I have to protect and provide for myself before I can protect and provide for others. So that's a question of just how do we move forward? How do I move forward? Because I want to. The reason I created this show is because it's something like this. Because I knew some kind of crisis was going to occur. And now it's not even like a prediction. It's just more like, of course, like this is just bound to repeat itself because we're creatures of habit and we haven't learned. I love history, so that's how I can look at the patterns that are being set today and in the last couple of weeks, and I can easily see what's going to unfold. So when I hear reports about people fighting, people getting killed and stabbed and hurt, that doesn't surprise me or shock me because, well, yeah, that's what happens in a crisis situation like this. Because, of course, the government doesn't want people to panic, and we need to stay calm. Of course, I'm afraid, but I'm not panicking. Those are two separate things, and I think it's a good thing to at least acknowledge that fear. It's said that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. And I wouldn't consider myself the most brave person, but it's something that now I'm definitely going to have to work on, and definitely going to have to test myself. I mean, this is reality. This is, yeah. I mean, I've always been told to prepare, but it wasn't in the context of an apocalypse. Like, what? And that's what this is. I mean, at least here in the United States, it's going to get bad. And, like I've said multiple times before, it's just going to take one little thing and you're going to see the depths of human nature here. I mean, the United States is going to collapse. That's just, I mean, unless okay, it's a caveat, because there's still hope that, so if Trump or any other Republican is still in power after the election, if there's an election, because you're hearing this right now, if you honestly believe that Donald Trump isn't going to use this crisis as a means to seize power indefinitely, then you're clearly not paying attention. This is his Reichstag fire. Like this is it. Like just the other day they were, and I believe they're still like trying to work on this, which is just like, I'm just at the end of my patience with this administration, and not just the administration, just the whole apparatus that is our government and system. But I should say, the Senate were attempting to pass an amendment bill to enact end-to-end encryption, so that way you would have no privacy, and what I'm saying right now would be monitored, and I would end up on some list, just like in fucking China. So, and I'm sure somebody's listening to this already. So, it's just, like, I'm so young, and so this is like the first real crisis situation that I'm faced with. And about to be the worst crisis that any American has experienced. This is not going to be a vacation. I know things are easy now for some of us at least, but everybody's going to start feeling it, and that is slowly going to chip away at the foundations, and it's just, yeah, I don't know. This is one of the reasons why I chose this area, Huntsville, Texas, where I'm doing this podcast out of. It's a small town, and it's a college town. I mean, the college and the facilities and the staff, they're good. I mean, I like, you know, higher quality and smaller packs, So it's small campus, relatively. That's why I chose Huntsville, because Huntsville is smaller and it's just a better area to, I don't know, wait this out. So, yeah. I mean, I still have family here. That's the fucked up part. Most of my family is actually in New York. And New York right now is the epicenter of the outbreak. And I still have family in Houston or in the Houston suburbs. And those areas, they will experience a lockdown eventually. And I know up here we're going to experience a lockdown eventually. It's just, I'm not concerned about a lockdown. It's just supplies. I mean, are we still going to get, supplied? Is this town? I mean, who's going to take over that? It's most likely going to be the army in some fashion. I mean, this is a war, and we're at war with a virus, an invisible enemy. I mean, now, like, Jesus Christ. I mean, now you got to be extra careful and tidy up your areas and clean your houses at any time. Like, you have to take in, like, as if there's an outside alien force, and that's you have to decontaminate anytime you go back into the ship when you go fight them. You've seen those movies, so like when they walk in, there's like a space and the door closes behind them, but there's a door in front of them, and it's like a vacuum chamber, and it's all these gases and disinfectant. You gotta view it like that, because that's literally what you're doing every time you walk out of your house. You're walking into a hostile environment. You have to see it as that. I mean, I'm walking, I do deliveries still, and I mean, I'm, hopefully going to make a killing, at least, to support myself, because there's going to be a higher demand. People are going to order, they can't go to the restaurants to eat now, so they're going to bring the food over, and hopefully those are, they've either stocked up on food supplies or they're going to order out. But that's just our situation. And the reason, like, here's the thing, because, of course I'm worried about the virus and I don't want to get sick. I wouldn't say that I've had pre-existing conditions. It's just that, however, in the past, I have, as a child, had respiratory issues, and not consistently, but there was a case not too long ago where I was having a real hard time breathing, and I think it had something to do with just the air pollution in the Houston area, because there was like a fire like not too long before I showed up there. But I digress. Pneumonia is just the last thing that I need. Or pneumonia just sucks. You nobody needs that. And yeah, pneumonia could seriously fuck me up. And also because of our fucking healthcare system, we have to pay for treatment. We have to pay for testing and treatment. Like, I'm really fed up. I'm seriously like pissed off, because everybody's going to look for somebody to blame, and a lot of people are going to look to China. And I'm not saying China's perfect, because China did a lot to they did a lot to mismanage it. Of course, now they have it under control in some fashion. They've just like recently like closed down one of the temporary hospitals, so like they took drastic efforts, and I'm sure they had free testing available. I'm sure the payment or treatments were accessible. I don't see that happening here. I don't see temporary hospitals being built within a week. I don't see that. It might be like some camps or something, but it'll be like just half-assed done. I'll just get it up and start helping them. And so many people are going to get infected that this is okay. You have to look at two factors when it comes to a virus. I'm no epidemiologist. This is just what I understand at least. You have to look at how contagious it is, how the rate of infection, how many people it could possibly infect, right? So you have the pool of infection rate, or the pool of infection, and then you also have the casualties and the people who die. Okay, so from estimates around the world, it's showing like at least a 1% fatality rate, possibly 2, 3 if we're talking about a system that's terrible like the United States. So, I mean, with the United States, you really have to assume the worst case scenario. That's why everybody is so fucking scared, because our system is going to collapse in possibly our entire country. Like this is if Donald Trump is in office, this is over. It's over. It's done. Speaking without platitudes, just putting it out there, because I know a lot of people, they want to sugarcoat this or they want to stay optimistic. That's not what you're getting here. Because as I said, this is the collapse. This is the end game. And I'm not the type of person who's, who looks forward to this. I don't want to walk outside with this do-it-yourself face mask. Everybody's telling me, oh, well, it's not going to help you. Well, I mean, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I can't interact with people. At the very least, if I cover my face, I can get a little closer. I have to show them something, because I'm doing deliveries, and I have to get like orders like signed, signatured, or I have to give. I'm not gonna put the food on the floor. Yeah, I'm getting worked up because this is happening in real time. This isn't a game. This is real life. And I know a lot of people, it hasn't fully processed for them yet, but it's over. Or it's the beginning of the end. Well, who knows? I mean, we're like, the reason I also created this is just like a journal, an audio journal at least. I want to at least create some kind of diary that captures the thoughts and emotions of the events that are unfolding for whoever finds it. If, I have this idea, this is just like a crazy thought, but it's more just like, it's possible. I mean, this could happen if somehow some future architect, or not architect, archaeologist, what the fuck? So some future archaeologist discovers the last remnants of the internet, the whole archive of the internet, and then they come across this show, and then they start hearing about what happened, what led to whatever series of events that they're living in now. I do believe in the capacity of human survival. I do. I it's not going to be the same. It's not. Like, I'm really trying to balance optimism and fear, but I find myself in fear a lot, because this is not going to end well for anybody. I mean, the only way everybody dies if there's all-out nuclear war, which I don't think is going to happen, not right now. But as I'll explain, we might see the beginnings of it. So, didn't want to, freeze any hearts there. It's just, it's better to understand your own demise than to just walk around and, oh, what? Like, just reacting to things instead of like examining it, Because what we're seeing right now is a lot of people reacting last minute because they didn't pay attention. So those of us who are going to last are the ones who prepared. And I'm not saying I'm prepared at all, because I'm not. I'm really not. But we'll have to make do, because I also understand pretty well that other people are going to struggle. And as at the same time, it's not just, how well you're prepared. It's also the network that you have around you. So I feel very fortunate that I have a close group that in some way understands what's unfolding. But this is still pretty early on, so we're just gonna have to sort ourselves out and see what roles that we can play out, because we're all in this together. So if you or anybody that you know has any gardening skills or has some access to a plot of land, start investing in gardening, and or start, researching, start collecting seeds, get your water ready. I mean, I know next to nothing about gardening and farming, but this is what we're going to have to do. It's going to be a real regression in the quality of life. And so the best way to survive, there's just no other way to say it, is to set up a community network and cooperate, communicate, and move forward. And yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. And I'm talking a little bit about, I'm kind of going on a rant because I had like a whole list of things that I wanted to say. But I just want to get some things off of my chest at least. It's unnerving. It's unnerving because, I'm still in shock, and like I didn't think it was going to be like this. I thought what was going to happen was we would be pretty normal, pretty fine until the election came around, and then they do some political dealings or some shady business tactic, and he secures the election, but it's pretty obvious that he stole it, and the country tears itself apart. I mean, that's what I thought was going to happen. I thought our downfall was going to be because of the election. But now we're seeing that it's coming a bit early, actually. It's coming far earlier than I thought. I mean, shit, like, why didn't I tell myself to get ready when I saw what was happening in China? Like, why did I actually believe that this wouldn't come here? Of course I was worried, and of course I knew it would come here, but I didn't think it would be right now. And that just speaks to the testament of how infectious this disease is. So, really, like, if you have no other reason to go out, don't go out. I mean, like, get some sunlight or get some fresh air if you need it, but like, take precautions. Do what you need to do to make sure that, you're not coming into contact with other people. And, don't trust surfaces, because they're saying now that this virus can, under some conditions, can survive up to 3 days. So, I mean, this thing can spread. I mean, it's just, this thing it's a horror movie that we're living in. And as I said before, I mean, you look at the 1% death rate, the fatality rate, but then you look at the rate of infection, and then you also look at how our system our healthcare system can't cope with the shock that it's going to sustain, and it's going to just die, or it's going to slide in some way. I mean, what you're looking right now is the United States is becoming a third world country. That's what's fucking happening. Because this shit, you don't hear this shit happening. God, I'm sorry. Like I said, this is really going to be more of a heated episode, because, like, I'm going to be cursing a lot and just dishing out insults, because, it's one thing, because, I'm studying journalism, of course, and, of course, they emphasize the fact of being objective and being, being balanced, right? But I think that time is over. That time is done. Like, the greatest threat to the human species right now isn't this virus. It's our own stupidity. That's why we put leaders in place who, it's not that they know better. It's just we chose them because they demonstrated that they are better than us. Like, they're actually looking out for our interests, and they know how to handle the worst situations imaginable, because If I were the fucking president and this was shit was happening, okay, first off, like, even if I were the president, okay, anybody with half a brain cell would have done a better job than this shit. This shithead of a president. Like, I'm just going off. I have no more patience anymore. I don't care what the fuck happens. I really don't. Because it's incompetence and human fucking stupidity. And, you know, I love this country, I really do, but I'm only here because my grandmother had the same thoughts about her country when she was my age. Like, what the fuck? So, I mean, now I'm in the position that she was in. I don't have any kids, but I can't look at myself raising a family here anymore. I can't. I mean, I never did, but now it's just becoming clear and obvious. Now, anybody who has a child after this point is not that it's their fault because shit happens, but it's just like you have to understand what you're bringing them into, and you have to prepare them. You can't just pretend that things were like they were before. No, you have to look at the world ahead and think they're going to live a drastically different life. They're going to live the same way that people had lived 1,000 years ago. Maybe not with swords and shields, but just the level of carnage and devastation and the daily suffering that is what is a likely possibility. That's our future. I'm just, like I said, I'm going off. I'm very emotional right now because this is really the only outlet that I have to just speak my mind. But this is bullshit. And I think a lot of people agree with me. It's just a matter of, okay, you agree, now what are you going to do? How are you going to act? So time will tell. Time will tell. History shall unfold. It's unfolding right now. I mean, yesterday was like they keep saying each and every day this was the worst drop. Yesterday, the Dow Jones dropped like 12%, almost 13%. And that's what you got to pay attention to. Not the point drops, but the percentage drop, because the percentage is far more accurate of just the state of it. People look at the numbers and it's a big number, holy shit, but the percentage is what matters. So yesterday, of course, there was the 12% drop. From my understanding, basic understandings of economics, the Black Monday drop in 1987 was worse, and the Black Tuesday was in 1929. But I mean, this is just like happening so fast. And the reason it's happening is because people aren't spending, people aren't buying. There's no economic activity. People aren't. In my area, at least, like I said, it's a small town, so I'm pretty sure if there was a case here, a word would spread quickly. But people are still going about their lives. People are still trying to be normal. And, as I said, each time that I go out, I set up a ski mask, and then I put some tissue papers in front of my face. So even if it doesn't filter out the virus, at the very least, if I'm coughing or sneezing, I'm not spreading it to other people. And also the pollen is very heavy out here. So like I get the sniffles like the minute I step out the door. So I gotta invest in an antihistamine, but those pharmacies are gonna, if they're not well stocked enough, they're gonna run out too. So yeah. Wow, it's just so much is unfolding. But yeah. I mean, the US is going to be effectively on lockdown probably in the next couple weeks, and they're saying that this is going to last until June. I can't even imagine what the fuck is going to happen in June. Like, oh my god. I mean, we're in a state of emergency, and soon we're going to be under martial law, and we're going to see soldiers in the streets now. Like, this is what's happening. This is The Last of Us, like, literally. And this virus could still mutate. And it could become deadlier, and that's sayonara. So, just wow. Again, like I said, it's not the virus killing you. I mean, you should worry about that, and you should stay clean and not get sick. Just avoid people in general. Stay home unless you have to leave. Um, but it's just the system. Our healthcare system, it's not going to sustain it. And also, we're seeing now shortages in grocery stores and retail stores, and like oh my goodness, like this just happened so quickly. And like people are fighting over toilets. I read a report that somebody got stabbed over a case of water in Georgia. I mean, even if these early reports now have some, they're not completely true. It's going to get worse as the food shortages really hit. Because people have never starved in this country for a long time. And people starve daily. I'm not saying that people don't starve in this country, but now it's going to be at a scale that you have never seen before. That's why I'm saying that this is the end game, because now people are going to look out for their own needs, and they're going to look out for their family, and they, Jesus Christ, ammunition is getting sold out, guns are getting sold out. Um, you know, I've had to look to some other ways to protect myself. I don't believe in owning a gun, but still, like, okay, I shouldn't say I don't believe in owning a gun, because it's just because I can't afford a gun. Like, I'm just broke. But with the gun culture in this country, they've always talked about the zombie apocalypse. Well, here it is. Here's the zombie apocalypse. Jesus fucking Christ. Wow. I mean, people are trying to make the best of it, but my family's still in Houston area, and I keep saying time and again to get the fuck out. Just get out. I can't. I don't know what I can't really help them out here, but yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sure y'all don't mind. I think that's why most of you listen, because I can have an outlet to talk, and then you guys at least understand in some way where I'm coming from, or you've already come to this conclusion. You know, I'm really afraid. That's all I really have to say. I'm just really afraid. I'm I'm clueless as to how to survive. I mean, I can't. I know I'm willing to defend myself, but just the thought of what I may have to do to look out for myself, it shakes me to my core, because it's not who I am as a person. But at the same time, I'm willing to do anything to protect my family and friends, and I think that speaks for a lot of people. It's just, wow. I never thought I would be faced with this situation. I really, really hope that I'm just being hyperbolic, and then, a couple months from now, I can be like, huh, well, wasn't that wild? Wasn't I being kind of over dramatic? But as it stands, I don't think I am, because it doesn't look good. It's bad when even Donald Trump has to go out and start saying it's bad. Like, so, yeah, that's our situation. I kind of just opened up with that. And yeah, so quarantine, trying to keep myself sane and staying clean, keeping in contact with people. It's just fucked up, because there's a lot of people that, like, even my parents now, they understand that this is going to get nasty. This is going to be horrific. And I never thought that. I look at their lives and their experiences, and it's just, it breaks my heart to think about the lives that they had in the world that they lived in, and to see it crumble around them, because they still can't really process it. I mean, I grew up in this, so I grew up in the tail end of the collapse. So, like, of course I could see it as clear as day. There's no opportunities for me. I know what the fuck was gonna happen. But they had their hopes and dreams installed into me. That's why they had me, because things seemed okay when they had us, me and my sister. But everything changes, snap of a finger. But that's enough, really. I'm gonna try to just jump into another section at least and speak a little more. I'm still gonna talk about coronavirus, but uh, I just want everybody to understand that around the world, different countries are gonna be okay, or they're gonna face a struggle with the virus, but they're not gonna experience the same level of chaos as we are. Because as I said before, this country is extremely close to having a civil war, and this may be the light that starts that fuse. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I really hope that I'm wrong, but it doesn't look that way. Because as I said before, all these weapons, guns, ammunition sold out. It's just being depleted. And I mean, like, what the fuck? Like, I thought we were the greatest nation on earth, and we had each other's back. Does it appear so? Does not appear so. So, don't worry about me. I'll try to keep myself safe and clean. But wherever you are, because this is a global pandemic now, nobody's really safe from this. Maybe a couple countries have isolated themselves, but uh, everybody's going to face their own struggle uh, because of this virus. I mean, this is a new world now. It really is. So, with that being said, I'll kind of jump into Europe a bit and talk about those areas and those lockdowns because, you have the United States, and the United States is going to plunge into chaos, but then, you look into Europe, and it's still going to be unstable, and there's still going to be some unrest, but, it's just going to be their own version of it. So, of course, with Europe, we have the major outbreaks in Spain and Italy, for sure. Italy is being hit hard, actually. So whatever you're seeing happening in Italy, it's going to be 10 times that in the United States. And they have like a universal healthcare system, or, a public healthcare system. So, I mean, they actually have a shot at dealing with this. We have no shot unless we drastically change the funding and operations of our healthcare industry. But that I'll jump into that later. So in Europe, Italy, large outbreak, and it's primarily in the northern Lombardy region. And then you also have in the UK. Now they're starting to put out some guidelines. Boris Johnson saying now, just stay home, don't go out for anything really. We'll see how many people listen to that, because people are barely listening to that here. So, yeah. And I think not Europe, the UK. I think the UK is going to experience it's going to get hit hard pretty too. They just had their Brexit, and as I said before, it's like a mini America. So they have a public healthcare system, but the conservatives are trying to slash that and defund that or sabotage it. So now they're also going to experience some kind of backlog or some kind of crisis in their healthcare industry. So yeah, I mean, this is really gonna show who has their shit together, which country can handle a crisis. So you have capitalism that's purely based on profits and purely based on expansion, just rapid growth, unlimited growth. And then, of course, you have the other system, socialist-ish system, that is about sustainability and preparedness, and is about meeting the needs of the people. I mean, like, how hard is that to understand? Like I said before, the greatest threat to humanity right now is stupidity. Like, the people who will, they'll go on Facebook and start talking about, whoa, this and that. Like, You don't fucking understand, do you? Like, you still can't see it. People are still saying that this is just like the flu. People are overreacting. Oh, well, this is no, no. Here's the thing. And as I said before, no human has an immunity to this. This is a completely new virus. We don't have an immunity to it. So if you get sick, you're on your own. And unless you can get access to a hospital or ICU, some people, they seem okay. Like it's just like a mild like flu for them. So that's where people are saying, "Oh, it's like the flu." No, but I mean, for some people, yeah. But do you really want to take that gamble? Because I mean, you having so much faith in your immune system is not really the way to go because you have no control over that. Well, you do. It's lifestyle and health choices, but at the same time, it's also just your genetic predispositions and just your past experiences and your past health medical history. Um, yeah, I mean, so as I said, Europe is gonna. They're saying now that Europe is gonna becoming the epicenter of the outbreak. It originated in China, but now China has beaten their curve, and I'm sure y'all have seen that curve chart that they're explaining now. So, uh, they've for the most part beaten their curve. So, like, I think China is gonna recover from this pretty quickly. Actually, I said earlier that it may cause some undoing in China, but now I'm going to have to redact that because that China is now becoming the key supplier of medical equipment, of masks, of coronavirus treatment, and so now they're gonna. I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I think you know where I'm going with this. Just the other day, yesterday actually, there was a billionaire Chinese investor, Jack Ma. He donated, or he is, he's pledged to donate coronavirus test kits, masks, all sorts of things. Yeah, he's actually the Jack Ma. He is the head of Alibaba. And so, I mean, this is really the beginning of the age of China. The end of the United States, at least in an international stage, because there's no way that we can project ourselves when we're dealing with this pandemic in our own home. And they're projecting at least 1 million people dead. Like, you have any idea what that is going to do to us? We are not ready for this. And this is the United fucking States of America. I'm just I can't process it. I still can't process it. I feel like I'm glitching out. Like, yeah, this is really funny. Okay, guys, but no, this is real life now. Like, holy fucking shit! Wow, wow. I'm sorry. I was talking about Europe. Um. So yeah, Europe is becoming an epicenter, and now they're starting to form restrictions. Now they're certainly going to close the borders down because EU has an open border policy. Now they're definitely going to have checkpoints between France and Spain, and France and Germany, and Italy and Switzerland. Like, it's gonna. I mean, I have faith that the EU can pull through, but unless some unforeseen circumstances unfold, I don't see the EU dissolving. I mean, wow. I mean, the economic activity is coming to a halt. Like, civilization is being put on pause. You really have to process that. Because the virus was going to spread worldwide no matter what. That's just the nature of a global system, society. But at the same time, like, we have the stocks, and what happens here affects other people around the world, and everything's being put on pause. Everything is being put on pause. It's just, wow, like, really. I really hope y'all are finding some way to deal with this. But I mean, this is just, it's a shock to the system. And now I have to think about how am I going to protect myself and how am I going to provide for myself? How am I going to protect my family and my friends if I can? Like, and now it's like there's some people now like they're seriously a threat now to our lives. If if they're not willing to cooperate, if they're just going to take what they want, now they're becoming a threat to our lives. Because if they take our stuff, well, then we're dead. So clearly we have to defend ourselves. And he's in a different, like, here's the fucked up part, because like I'm probably one of the few people who understands survivalism and the just the nature of human beings. So I don't know if I'm going to be against somebody who ultimately is trying to provide for their family and their children and who has the same wants and needs as I do. But at the same time, like, I have to protect myself and my family. And like if we couldn't come to a compromise, then your solution is to just take it. Well, then I'm not going to allow that. So you see what happens? And as I said, I have no means to protect myself or anybody. I don't have any guns. Maybe a couple knives, but that only helps so much. Just wow. I'm getting ahead of myself. But as I said, projections and implications, here in the United States at least, projecting at least 140 million, possibly 200 million infected, and possibly, worst case scenario, 1.7 million dead. Maybe more. If there's a complete collapse and people just get sick everywhere, like you're going to see a massive die-off. Because there's no providers. Nobody can help out. Only the richest can get it. But then, yeah, just wow. Just wow. Just really shows how fragile civilization is. So, as I said, that's just the current climate that we're in now. But we'll move a little more into a different area. I'm not talking about coronavirus, but still equally important and kind of swept under the rug because people didn't really pay attention to it. So, speaking of just different situations, at least, and kind of swept under the rug given the current pandemic we're facing, there were chilling developments in the Middle East. Oh, well, that's never a good sign. There's always something there. But the Middle East, there has been recent escalations in tensions between Syria, Russia, and Turkey. It was noted earlier in my earlier episodes that Turkey had invaded northern Syria and occupied it. They occupied the area of Rojava and kicked out the Kurds in the local area. And they're saying, no, this is an anti-terrorist activity, but it's clearly population displacement, clearly ethnic cleansing. I mean, there's just no other way to describe it. So, this area now it's Syrian territory, sovereign Syrian territory that was occupied by this militia group. Okay. And now a foreign military power has moved in, kicked out the local population, and is occupying it. And there's been recent reports that they're now putting people back into that area, repopulating the area, possibly with their Syrian refugees that they have, just putting them back where they think that they belong. So, with that being said, now Syria, of course, is not going to tolerate a foreign invasion. That's what it is. It's a foreign invasion. And of course, they're going to move to recapture those territories. And of course, clearly now there's reports of aircraft being shot down, artillery strikes. I don't believe Turkey has targeted Russia directly or Russian troops directly, forces. Of course, they did shoot down a Russian jet some time ago, so it's not that they wouldn't. They're in Syrian territory, so Russia actually has a case. I mean, Turkey's still violating the law, but I don't think Russia thinks Syria's worth it. At least not right now. Uh, Turkey, I should say, is also a NATO ally, so they're part of our club, and they're going to war with Syria now, and possibly start World War III. Like, what the fuck? Ooh, so that's what I was talking about earlier about, you know, worst case scenario, worst, like literally nightmarish scenario, nuclear apocalypse. We might be seeing that right here. World War III, nuclear apocalypse. Everybody dies. So, you know, that's just, it's Armageddon, right? Tell Megiddo, hopefully not hopefully, we'll just have to see what happens. But, um, well, they're just, I don't know what to say now because the lines are so blurred. And of course, there isn't a war, but it's a war. I mean, if you're killing people, shooting down airplanes and, you know, shooting at soldiers, I mean, like that's a war. So, yeah, it's just so much to process. Really, it's a lot right now. But I wanted to speak on something that's like a little more heartwarming. I kind of like hearing about this. So recently there was International Women's Day. So I'm sure you saw something on Instagram or social media. People, treating their ladies, their mothers, or just a woman in their life, you know, and treating them well. Uh, well, I'm more of a solidarity, female solidarity and empowerment kind of guy. And I don't want to say that as just like, for anybody, for kudos. It's just like, that's the way I think. So recently they had, or, thousands of women in Mexico City had a demonstration and quickly just got out of control for the best possible reason. But they were out in the streets and they were, demanding justice for women's equality and women's, empowerment, women's security. And I mean, like, it was a genuine riot, which is cool. Like, I think it's cool because when you have guys in the streets and they're breaking shit, setting stuff on fire, it's really over some stupid thing. It's either some political reason or some racist reason. Uh, something that ultimately can be solved by just talking and like, hey, like, here's a compromise. I give you this, you give me that. Like, so really, when it comes to men out in the streets fighting and confronting one another, it's really just because they didn't want to come to an agreement and they wanted to fight in the first place. So now that there's a group of women, or there's a mob of women out in the streets, and they're breaking shit up and setting stuff on fire, and they're causing a scene, like that really makes you think like, why? Because I guarantee you, none of those ladies really wants to be there. They just feel like they have to. I guarantee that most of them would rather just be out with their friends and just, well, I can't say, I don't know what women do in their time off, but I know it's not breaking windows and, putting your liberty at jeopardy and fucking lighting garbage cans on fire. I know it's not that. Maybe for a few, but not like thousands of them. So that just really shows that they have enough of this and that they're going to, do what they need to do to make sure people understand that this is bullshit. We need better rights. Like, come on. So, where do I start? So, yeah, there was a women's strike in Mexico, and they were just demanding justice for, the rampant abuse of women, rampant murders and killings of women. Mexico, I mean, it goes without saying, Mexico is just a violent place in general. Not the stereotype, it's just the reality that's there. And any area that you look, any violent or war zone, violent area, it's particularly harder for women because they have all these gender roles placed on them, traditions and religions that are placed on them, telling them how to live. And then you also add on the fact that everybody's killing each other. So like, it's just a rough world to live in. And I'm sure there are women that live comfortably there and they have a good time. They love their country, they love their people and their community. Not saying that doesn't exist there, but it's rough. It's hard. And a lot of these murders, a lot of these disappearances, I mean, sex trafficking is huge. Huge. So, you know, a lot of these kidnappings and disappearances and these murders, they just go unsolved. So if you're missing, for the most part, people can't do anything about it. They just accept that you're gone. Of course, they would like to do something about it and they would like to have you back, but if you're, I mean, if they have no trace of you, chances are they can't find you. And if you start asking questions, well, then you're putting yourself and your family at risk because, the cartel is not going to tolerate any nosy people. But yeah, I mean, those images were they were intense, but in a good way. You know, I'm starting to like have a softer spot for anarchy and chaos because this business as usual bullcrap is not. I mean, you see where we're at now. This is business as usual, like quarantining myself and literally thinking that I may not survive till fucking June. My birthday's in June. So if I live to be 24, woo, I'm going to consider myself pretty lucky. If things get as bad as I think they are, I'm going to be, Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, so another last thing I should talk about, just concerning economic activity and business as usual. There have been reports of ghost flights in Europe. Now, what is a ghost flight? So, in Europe, there's a policy where it's like a first come first serve thing. So you either take the shift or I don't know what the description is. You either take it or it gets sold to somebody else, or somebody else takes it. So now in Europe, nobody's buying planes. Nobody's going on. I shouldn't say buying planes. Nobody is taking flights. Nobody. They're not even going on trains or taxis. Just in general, things are coming to a halt, especially mass transit. So airplanes in particular are being hit the hardest. So of course, they have these ghost flights, so they're going to keep flying and they're going to keep that the slot or shift because, well, I don't want the competition to get it, even though nobody's in the flight. Just take the route, fly it. Who cares? So that just really speaks to the level of stupidity that these capitalists have, because they're only thinking about the profits. The profits. What about the profits? Like, fuck. And it's not even like they care about their employees. They don't give a shit about the employees. Fuck, man. I'm like literally like on the edge of my seat because my father could get laid off. And if that happens, like, that's just really bad. Because we're not in any position to support ourselves. Like, wow, like, how the fuck did we end up here? Well, I know exactly how we ended up here, and we'll talk about that more. But these ghost flights in Europe, they're happening because business as usual demands it. People are just doing what they need to do to survive, and yeah, so it's just really a testament of how far things have fallen. And also another, mass transit, speaking of, is the cruise liners and cruise ships. Of course, they had the Princess Diamond. So that was in Japan, and they isolated those people there. But now there was reports of other cruise liners where ports aren't just taking them in; they're just not accepting them. So now you have cruise ships that are stranded out in the ocean and just floating around. And I believe I read somewhere that Cuba was now starting to open up their ports and letting people in. So, there you go, right? But yeah, Cuba in general is starting to come out on top. It's just so funny now when you hear all these things about, oh, well, communism, this and that. Well, look what's happening now. All these communist countries are now starting to come out on top. So Cuba, of course, They are shipping out their health officials. I mean, Cuba's healthcare system is top notch. Like, you can say whatever you want, but they have one of the best healthcare professionals in the world. That's just a fact. And dude, this is really going to illustrate to people around the world and to people like you and me that the United States, as it stands, I'm gonna keep putting this caveat now, because Bernie Sanders has to win this election. He has to win it. If he loses, it's over. The United States is done. It's dead. So if he loses, seriously look to leave the country if you can. If any country is willing to accept you, just get the fuck out, because the United States is done, and you're really gonna see. You thought things were bad before. It's over. Again, getting ahead of myself. I'm not the one to make predictions. I'm just taking the worst case scenario, and so far, me taking the worst case scenario position has been pretty helpful in trying to understand what the fuck is happening. So there you go. But that's really just what's been happening so far, and there's a lot that's going to unfold, and there's a lot that we're going to have to touch up on, but we're just going to have to move forward with different things. So again, speaking domestically, I spoke a lot domestically about the coronavirus situation, and that's bad. Make no mistake, that's bad. But we also have another situation to look at, which is our failing democracy. Our democracy has been failing us for a long time now. This is just like the final swan song, because it's not even a joke anymore. If anybody is it's not even a joke anymore. It's so obvious. I don't know, I don't have the guts to tell my parents or some of the people who raised me, when they say, "Oh, well, yeah, what did you expect? These people were corrupt to begin with." Well, hold up. I was raised to believe that this is the best that we got. I was raised to believe that. At the very least, if it's not perfect, well, there's the other alternatives haven't worked out. That's what the majority of our parents and teachers have tried to teach us. Well, I shouldn't say the majority, because I have at least been surrounded by people who were critical enough, but they haven't been critical enough to make the next leap forward. So people raised us to believe that this system was the best, or it's the best that we could do, and now we're starting to wake up to the fact that no, this is a very shitty system. It's always been shitty, and it's not sustainable. Now we're seeing the fruits of that system coming to fruition. This is the logical conclusion of this ultra-capitalist system. A broken democracy with a fascist coup on the horizon. A corporatist fascist coup on the horizon. I cannot stress this enough. But again, this is a very emotional episode. I'm sorry, because I kind of lost track and lost my train of thought. But I want to talk a bit just about our broken democracy, and just the subversion that, particularly on the parts of the Democrats, because I've already expected this out of the Republicans, but the Democrats are just making me sick to my stomach, and it's really just showing how fucked we are. How fucked we are, because we are dealing with two enemies, not just one. Well, they're the one and the same, but right now people think that they're two sides. No, it's the same. It's the same thing. It's just one side is fucking white supremacist and racist. The other one is a little more closeted about those things, but they're certainly fascist, and they don't give a shit about you. They only care about their profits. This is the next couple months and years is really going to show the true colors of people in this country. So take note. Take note on people's behaviors, and take note on who looks out for you, and who checks in on you. I've certainly tried to, reach out to some people, especially if we've had some problems in the past. I'm certainly trying to make amends because I don't want us to meet down the line and not have resolved those issues and have to resolve it right then and there. I mean, and it's not going to be a type of situation where we can talk about it. No, it's going to be a split second moment. So, you know, you know, process that however you like, but that's just the reality. Um, but anyway, so the Democrats, of course, we've had our primary elections. There was actually primary voting today. I'm not paying attention to that right now. Uh, Biden and Biden and Bernie, they had their debate Sunday, and I didn't watch that. I was watching Westworld, but I seen some clips from it, and Sanders did come out pretty okay in my book. I mean, he handled Biden pretty well. Of course, CNN is a bunch of hacks. I mean, like, wow, just the depths. Like, I'm studying journalism, but I have no interest in being in a corporate journalist environment because that's just wrong. Like, some of them are good-hearted and good-natured, but at the same time, they're beholden to the very evil forces that are destroying the world right now. The majority of these corporate media organizations, they're getting paid by the people who are burning us alive. So primary results, Biden came out again, just better. Part of it is the media, and part of it's also Bernie not going hard enough because he kind of likes Biden. But I mean, like, right now, like, the stakes are just too high. Like, you can't go easy on Biden. And also, it's just, Biden, right now, he's like, okay, I want to take a minute to talk about Biden. Because I respect the man. I do. I respect him. Of course, I would lay out all these critiques about him. I can go at length. But I respect him because, he was the vice president with Barack Obama, the first black president, like, his role was vital towards Obama's success. And I mean, they were just on the same page. That, like, I never had a feeling that, like, oh, Biden doesn't have Obama's back. No, he had his back through and through. So for that, I have respect for him. However, he is not the answer. He is not the way forward. Like, I saw, like, one of the headlines for the debates, and it said, political revolution or versus changes in the system, or like, they try to label Biden as somebody who can address this. So people are debating. Yes, okay, this system isn't okay and it's not working, but Bernie's solution isn't the way to go. Yes, it fucking is. Yes, it is. I mean, Bernie doesn't have to get everything done. He just needs to get enough done to get that ball rolling, because it's a political revolution. It's a generational revolution. We can't keep business as it is because we're in this mess because of it. And you see Biden, I'm no healthcare professional, so I can't make any comments about his health or his well-being. He looks really in decline. And anybody who is willing to objectively observe him can see it. That you see him talk, and he's fumbling his words, and he's forgetting things that he says. And not even like, something that, like, okay, I can see myself forgetting that. No, like he literally forget, like, a lyric to the, like, not the national anthem, but just, like, one of the more major, like, national songs, just forgetting the lyrics. If you're running for politics, you should know that. You should know that, even if the people you're talking to don't give a shit. You should know that because you have an image to keep up. So, of course, he kind of fumbled his words, and you can look up the clip. There's so many clips of his gaffes and the lags that he has. It's just like, it's not funny what the Democrats are doing. It's not funny. It's insulting to him. It's insulting to him. of course, he wants to be president. That was going to happen anyway. But the fact that all these fucking Andrew Yang, okay, I was expecting, Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar. Yeah, okay, they were always going to endorse him. But fucking Andrew Yang endorsed Biden. Wow, really? And Cory Booker endorsed Biden. And here's the funny part. So here's two things you're going to learn right now. So if you didn't know before. So Cory Booker is dating Rosario Dawson, who is a well-to-do actress. She's in Daredevil. So have you seen her there? I mean, you've seen her. You can look her up. Oh, okay. I've seen her for sure. But yeah, they're both dating. So Cory Booker, he endorsed Biden. And then she came out and said that she voted for Bernie. Because it's that obvious. Like, what? Like, I hear from people, oh, well, Bernie's too old. And then he had that health scare, the heart attack. Oh, you see what happened? He can't be president because he had a heart attack. Oh, look at that. He's a frail little man. Oh, look at him. Poor guy. He can't be president. It's a stressful job. He can't do that. But then they want to put Biden in, who's like practically in the process of melting his mind, like his, just fumbling his words and hey, yeah, like he seems confused half the time that he talks sometimes. Like, okay. So, as I said, what Democrats are doing, and this is why I'm super upset with them now. So, like, I didn't think that it would be like this, but at the same time, I'm not surprised. So what the Democrats are doing is they're picking somebody that they can control. They can easily control Biden, especially with the state of his mental health. If it continues like this, you're not going to, like how the fuck can you see yourself having a president who is slowly starting to lose his mind? Not that he's going insane, but it's not the way that it was before. And, I mean, that's just the way the news goes. It's just the way things are right now. And, of course, Bernie Sanders is in the fight for his life. He's in the fight for our lives. And we have to do more. We have to do more. I look at my generation, and there's a lot that I'm proud about my generation, but political activity is not one of them. I can definitely say that I could be better, but I've done my part. And I think this is a product of just how broken our system is, because the youth of this country, the future of this country, my generation has lost faith. I don't think enough people understand that. We are a lost generation because we grew up at the height of wealth and opulence, the height of nobody had lived better. Okay? And now we are seeing it slip through our fingers like sand. Like just grains of sand just falling through our fingers. Like, I'm so glad that I can talk about this now. This is really, I think this podcast and this show is really going to help me put my frustrations out there, because this is bullshit. We shouldn't be talking about this. We shouldn't be here. We shouldn't. And we're having a serious discussion over public health care, and now we're in the midst of a fucking pandemic. And people are gonna die, and these fucking Republicans don't give a shit. They don't care if you live or die. They don't care. Like, we are under control. Like, evil people control our lives. They're evil. The Republicans are evil, and the Democrats aren't looking any better right now. I'm just at a loss for words, because I never thought I would be in this situation. I really never thought about it. Well, I shouldn't say I never thought about it. I didn't think it would be now. I didn't, if a week ago you said the country would be in lockdown. Okay, I shouldn't say a week ago, because I kind of had a feeling. It's just surreal that it's happening now. But if you said a month ago, oh, the country's going to be in lockdown, we're going to be facing a recession, practically, the beginning of the apocalypse, I would have been like, I would have been shocked. Like, what? Like, that already? I'm not ready. I'm not ready at all. I'm doing work and this and that, but I'm not ready for this. Well, first off, nobody is. Doesn't matter how well stocked you are. I mean, it's going to run out and you're going to have to look for more. Oh, I'm absolutely certain that the rich are already going to their bunkers. It's already happening. There was a report that said that Nancy Pelosi had a discussion about the upcoming election, and she practically said that civilization is at stake, which is the best way to describe our current crisis. Yeah, civilization is at stake. Civilization is slipping through our fingers. And nobody gets it. Nobody fucking gets it. Well, those of you listening, they get it. You guys get it. You guys understand it. And I love you all. I thank you for tuning in and, at least hearing me out. But the vast majority of people don't get it. They don't understand. And they're panicky animals. And they're going to see their supplies dwindle. And then they're going to go to the store and they're going to see the shelves are shorted, or there's nothing there for them to buy, and they're gonna panic, and they're gonna do something drastic. I really hope I'm wrong. But like, this is the end game. As I said before, this is the end game. It's here, and do what you can. Do what you can and help those who need it. Just because the world is ending and going to shit doesn't mean you have to. But yeah, as I said, the true colors of people are being shown. So now we see, these price gougers. Their plan was to buy all these supplies and then sell it for an increased rate. There's a guy who just bought like thousands of bottles of sanitizer and all this shit. Like, fuck you, man. Really? So first of all, just how stupid that is, okay? So he had the money in the first place to just buy all these supplies on a whim. And then he wanted to turn it around and sell it when shit hit the fan so that he would have a monopoly or some kind of control of the supply, and then he would come out on top. I mean, that just speaks to the level, the depth of our society, especially because of capitalism. This is directly a product of this capitalist thinking of me. Okay? I mean, that right there. Because it's never crossed my mind, I should hoard supplies and then distribute it. Let me take advantage of this crisis. Like, that doesn't occur to me. That never, anybody who's willing to put their own position over others by stepping on them or by exploiting a crisis is a piece of shit in my book. Or just in any book, really. Yeah, man. So, I mean, after that, of course, he got a lot of flack, and, then he decided to sell it, or he donated to some store, bank, but you're going to see more of that. And again, as I said, people were fighting over toilet paper. Fucking toilet paper. People are dying. People are going to be dying over toilet paper. All these conservatives are talking about Venezuela. It's fucking happening here. It's happening here, and it's going to be a lot worse than Venezuela. Because in Venezuela, at least, people try to work together or something. That's not going to happen here. People are going to defend themselves, and they're... Fuck, man. That's, if you are near a major metropolitan area, make plans to leave. Make plans to find some land, or, I don't know how you do it, but do not stay near a major city. Because once they lock it down and you can't leave, shit's gonna fucking fly on the wall. I'm already just worrying about my parents and my sisters, and I have no space for them here, so it's not like they can come up here, but they have to fucking leave. If it's as bad as I think it's going to get, and it most likely will, like, wow. I can't believe I'm really thinking about this shit, man. I can't believe this is actually here. I'm going back to this, doomsday scenario because it's here. Wow. But this price gouging and yeah, I'm gonna, I wanted to talk a little bit more, but I'm getting a bit disheartened. Well, I'll make this into like a two-part thing. I'll release more content. I'm kind of just, I kind of just blew up, and I think I need a little more time just to process things and to get this show in order, because now this is where my real work is going to begin. Sadly. um, but I mean, like I said, this is my work that I want to flesh out and expand, and now is the time for me to do that because, well, the collapse is here. It's here. Now we're live, and I can't really. I keep touching my face. Fuck. I can't really, offer much. I can't offer much. I don't know really. I'm a doom and gloom guy. Like like I said, my past experiences have just taught me to prepare for the worst. So I mean, I'm already just like there, but I'm not letting it defeat me. And there's other measures that I'm planning to take. And as I said, you know, the way to survive this is through community cooperation. And if there's a plot of land that you can plant in, you know, make plans to garden, make plans to farm. I mean, this is serious. This is serious. Really start adopting an agrarian lifestyle because you cannot depend on the restaurants and the grocery stores anymore. I mean, you're gonna see a real shortage. You're gonna see a serious like they always talk about images of like, oh well, look at these bread lines. Well, you're gonna see that now. You're gonna see bread lines in the United States of America. So there's that. Um, so I'll definitely, I have a lot of free time now. I mean, there's no school anymore. They're gonna start implementing like online courses. I don't know how that's gonna play out, but I'll have more time to record. I'm pretty much gonna be in my own here, so there's gonna be no disturbances or distractions. And I want to treat this as, you know, a just really the most exciting vacation ever. That's really the way I can process it. As I said, I'm gonna make a lot of jokes about this stuff, and I think that's the best way to cope with it. Having a sense of humor. Just don't let the you know darkness take you over. Yeah, laughter is the best medicine. It is, but I'm gonna have to take more time, and I'm gonna have to develop things and release more content. Of course, keep you guys updated. I'm sure y'all read enough already, but I just hope that everything will turn out okay. Like I really hope 6 months from now I can be like, man, what was I thinking? I really do. So I hope everybody listening to this is safe and healthy and taking care of themselves and taking care of your families. Now's the time to think of family and to be with them. I mean, I kind of wish I was with mine, but at the same time, just I don't see myself staying in an area like that. And I just hope that they can get out quickly. Man, what a life. But I mean, this is just the life that we're living, and there's only one life. So do with it as you please, and do the right thing. Take care of yourself and wash yourself, clean yourself, monitor your temperature. If you feel groggy or sick, immediately isolate yourself. This could have been avoided. A real tragedy is going to unfold. And a real tragedy is going to unfold, and I genuinely believe that most Americans are going to learn the wrong lesson. That's my fear too. We're going to be in a serious crisis mode, and people are going to find the wrong enemy, and that path is going to lead towards more tragedy, and it's not going to be good. Not to get somber, but that's just judging from history. That's what it typically leads to. But yeah, so without further ado, I'll start wrapping this up. I also want to reiterate that I do have a Patreon, and I will set up a PayPal. So I'm not asking for much. As I said, I want to make this my work and my job. And now with this quarantine, I'll have more time to actually record and, produce content for y'all. So, between, my daily routine, just trying to survive. Like, I can't believe I have to, that's just hard, so hard to process. Like, I'm this is serious survival mode now. That's where we're at. But I digress. Patreon, PayPal, if you can, if you are in a position to support me, and if you feel that this is worthy work, then please do. I'd be forever indebted to you. But yeah, this is the end game. But have no fear. As I said earlier, well, not me. It's not me saying it. It's just a famous quote. I believe it's Mark Twain that said it. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the mastery of fear. So learn to process all that's unfolding. Learn to understand the conditions in the situation that we're facing, and then learn how to move forward in an orderly fashion. Learn how to move forward in a way that isn't going to compromise your safety or the safety of others. I mean, I could list all the advice, but really all I can say is just to wash your hands and look over your back. That's really all I can say. But we're gonna see. Again, this episode was a bit emotional, and just me just getting things off of my chest, because it's not like most people put up with my rants, but at the very least I can just speak to you. And I hope, I really urge whoever's listening to this to just, if you hear some bullshit, call it out. Whatever it is. Like, I hate to use the term war, but you have to wage an ideological war now, because this is bullshit. Okay? And I really don't like using that terminology. I really don't like that way of thinking of so-and-so is my enemy. But this is a crisis mode now. And as I said, we're at war with this virus now. But yeah, if you see some people just spreading bullshit rumors, or, just misinforming or spreading fear, call that shit out. Especially if they're a Trump supporter. Like, look, I'm sure there's some of you who are listening who have to deal with Trump supporters on a daily basis. And I know you try to be you try to delegate and be diplomatic with them, but now's not the time for that, okay? So if you hear some shit or you see something on social media, call it out. Call it out and just go to war with them, because this is just mental. This is bullshit. They may not learn their lesson, but at least demonstrate for others that we have to stand up now. Like, we are in this mess because of them, because of sheer stupidity. Now I'm getting a little heated now again, but again, that's stupidity is the greatest threat right now. Not this virus, stupidity. So, with that being said, if you feel that you can support me, Patreon, PayPal, please do so. And really, I just hope we all pull through with this, and we will. We will pull through with this. So, it's just a matter of faith. I'm not the most faithful person, but now in these times, it's good to at least revisit it and good to at least, try to find a way to cope. So with that being said, stay healthy. I love you all, and we'll get through this together.
This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my only friend. The end of our elaborate plans. The end of everything that stands. The end. No safety or surprise, the end. I'll never look into your eyes again. Can you picture what will be so limitless and free? Desperately in need of some stranger's hand in a desperate land. Lost in a romance, wilderness of pain, and all the children are insane. All the children are insane. Waiting for the summer rain, yeah. There's danger on the edge of town. Ride the King's Highway, baby. Weird scenes inside the gold mine. Ride the highway west, baby. Ride the snake, ride the snake to the lake, the ancient lake, baby. The snake is long, 7 miles, ride the snake. He's old and his skin is cold. The West is the best. The West is the best. Get here and we'll do the rest. The blue bus is calling us. The blue bus is calling us. Driver, where you taking us? The killer awoke before dawn. He put his boots on. He took a face from the ancient gallery and he walked on down the hall. He went into the room where his sister lived, and then he paid a visit to his brother, and then he walked on down the hall, and he came to a door, and he looked inside. Father, yes, son, I want to kill you. Mother, I want to. Come on, baby, take a chance with us. Come on, baby, take a chance with us. Come on, baby, take a chance with us and meet me at the back of the blue bus. Do not blue rock on that blue bus. Do not. Come on, yeah. Come on, yeah, all right. This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my only friend. The end. It hurts to set you free, but you'll never follow me. The end of laughter and soft lies. The end of nights we tried to die. This is